Hi guys, my name is Kaw Ku and I'm here with the Dr. Kevin. I'm glad that we are able to meet each other again.
Likewise.
Well, Kevin, first of all, I want to ask you, a couple questions, and can you please tell about yourself? What do you do what do you do? Who you are. So we want to
Sure.
know about who you are here.
Right now, I work in healthcare. I lead a clinic in San Diego. We have behavioral health, medical, and dental. Prior to that, I worked in law enforcement, and I also teach at the university. I met our Karen people in 2011, which changed my life forever. And now every year I go to Kathule to stand with our people. Just came back from a trip recently. It was really interesting. Some of the highlights I felt was some of the groups like DKBA, KNLAPC, meeting with them and really helping look at what is the common thread that we all want. We want to stand with our Karen people. We want freedom and security. And so that was powerful. The other thing was we did a lot of messages for Karen people that have been recruited into BGF and hurting their own Karen people, and explaining to them that they should not be fighting for BGF. They should be standing with KNLA or KNDO, fighting for their Karen people in the right way. So that was powerful, and we will continue. We'll be going back again this next year. So excited for that trip, already preparing for that one as well.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that. So what about the the situation in Burma and the current state in Kathule? I mean, is the situation getting better? So, I mean, what is your...
No, situation is not getting better, and now is really the time that Karen people need to really make a decision and choose their own leaders. Right now, what's been happening for a long time is the current leaders of KNU were never elected by the Karen people. They were self-imposed, put themselves in there by their small group of friends. They don't stand with Karen people. They are conflicted. They have huge conflicts of interest because they've been given business opportunity and money from the corrupt and brutal Burma regime. And so we really need to look at a time where they can actually vote for their next leader. The elections are coming up, and I really hope and pray that Karen people will rise up and vote for their own leader this year before that next election. Because if not, Kathule probably would likely be forever lost, in my opinion. If they put a leader in that stands for their people, we have a lot of opportunity. As you've seen, Arakan is fighting strong, standing strong for their people. Kachin, same, many others. Now is the time to stand up and to face this cruel, brutal regime. And you want to hear people say, "Oh, I don't like war." Well, no one likes war. But the reality is, if you don't defend your people against this regime, you basically hand them over to them. Many Karen people tell me in Kathule, they say, "I hope that the Karen around the world, they all have freedom. We don't. We hope they never give up fighting for freedom." And so the reality is, it's easy to say, "Oh, we don't want war." But if you're the one being attacked, you're hoping people will defend you. Because there's only peace through strength. And so great things are going on. General Nerda is doing great work in 6th Brigade, where they've reclaimed a lot of land. And you have Karen people living with Karen culture, Karen language in the schools, just amazing things. General Bajahe recently gave an amazing speech for the Revolution Day, and very encouraging for his reminding people to stand together and that we need freedom, and his acknowledging that. So, my prayer and hope is that those two stand together for our Karen people and that we support them. Those that continue to try to prop up the NCA, that's a fraudulent scheme that the Burmese concocted. It's the obvious that it'll never work. It'll never bring peace, because the arbitrator of any violations of the NCA is all the Burma generals. So of course they will continue to do what they want. But I think there's opportunity here, either that we get freedom or we're going to lose it.
That's right.
And that's coming up. 2020 is the year. That's when many people are going to be pushed out of the camps and forced deep into Burma. My hope is they repatriate on their own voluntarily and go back to 6th Brigade, where things are going very, very well. Or some areas of 5th Brigade.
Wow,
But that's, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, all we can do is try our best and see
That's
how
right.
it go, right? Can you also expression, I know that you go back to Kathule every year. I mean, how do you feel, helping the community, helping the people there who suffer, for many years, those are the ones who's be fighting for freedoms.
That's
and,
right.
and self-determination. And I mean, how do you feel? I mean, helping the people like us in the community.
I get deeply moved. I'm brought to tears many times in Kathule, especially when I get to spend time with our soldiers who are fighting for freedom, who go without so other people can be defended. So I have tremendous respect for them. General Nordal, when I see all the work that he's done, it amazes me. Him and his wife, their love for their people. So I really am awed by that. I see it as a tremendous, awesome responsibility to go and stand with our people. I stand for people that are suffering. I don't stand for the people that are trying to profit and that try to propagate like the NSA and things like that. I'm not here to stand up for people that want to make money off of other people's suffering. I stand for the people that are actually suffering, that they deserve freedom. That I believe that is a God-given right for everyone to have freedom and self-determination. And so when people try to Burmanize Karen people, I think that's absolutely wrong, and I feel very compelled that that's where God has led me, is to stand up for our people and to help them secure freedom, not enslavement through Burmanization.
Absolutely. Well, you did an amazing job. You helping the people. You have impacted so many Korean people, especially young leaders. Do you have any advice and any strategy you want to share to the young leader, just next generation?
Sure. Well, first, I am awed by the young leaders, future leaders of Korean people. They teach me so much, impacted my life, shaped me in so many ways. And one of the things that I would say is, I'm awed by Korean people, Korean culture. And I would say for Korean leaders, never change. Never change. Know who you are as a Korean person. Your Korean culture is your anchor, is who you are. I believe that the Korean people are a chosen people by God, scattered throughout the world to teach all of us. And so what I would say I've seen, especially young Korean that have gone into the military or go into law enforcement, for example, it's very easy to be indoctrinated into Western civilization, into, sometimes things that I think are negative. So many people come here from other countries and then they kind of get ruined, in my opinion, by materialism in the United States and the lack of values, drinking, going out, doing crazy things. So to Korean people, when you go into law enforcement or the military, be a light. Don't let them change you. Don't let them define who you are. You keep defined who you are as a Korean, strong, powerful person that is on loan by God to impact the world around you. So the tendency is, for example, to go into law enforcement and we start being around people and we become a product of that environment. And so I will notice maybe Korean guys start cursing when I've never heard them curse before. And my hope for them, my prayer for them is resist that. Resist that tendency. Don't let anyone corrupt you. Be the gentle spirit, that Korean person with confidence, not cocky, but with confidence, and make a difference and let people say to you, who are you? Wow, you are an amazing person. I want to learn from you, and be that light in a dark world that desperately needs it. This world's falling apart right now.
Absolutely.
When you see the coronavirus, pestilences, the Bible talks about these things. These things are very scary if you look at that just alone. This is the first time we've seen a disease that basically for a whole week they're able to spread it but not have any symptoms, no fever. And so this stuff's going to spread very rapidly. You have also instability around the world with Iran, Russia, China, but you're also seeing a lot of interesting things happen where America is starting to rise up under President Trump's leadership. We're seeing incredible dynamics. There's a lot of opportunity. I personally believe that Kathule will rise to its glory. I believe that 2020 is a very strong year, a year that we have to be careful in every decision we make. So I think that Korean people should choose very wisely who they have as friends, that they do not fall into alcohol or drugs or silly things, that they always be known for standing strong, for loving their wife and their children, and never doing things that they know are wrong. That's what drew me to Korean people, was the innocent, amazing Korean that love each other, that are gentle yet strong, all of the things that Korean people are. And when I talk to people that know Korean people, that's what they all say. They say, I've never seen a people like this. So, my biggest thing in a nutshell is be Korean, be proud, stand strong. Because that is a huge light for this world that is desperately needed in the times we're in, especially.
That's very powerful message. Thanks for sharing. Last question I want to ask you. As you see, we have many leaders. Some of the leaders been using too much powers, and what are the different powers and influence? Can you define it?
Sure.
Explain to us, what's important to the leader to, having that, position that, being as a leader, should they use more power? Should they use more, like, leading by influence? I mean,
Sure.
yeah.
So that's a really good question, because leadership in the past has typically been based on power, grounded in power. And I still see that. There's a lot of people that try to coerce people to follow them. And if you don't follow them, they threaten you and they try to destroy your reputation if they can't control you. Those leaders are very, very bad, very detrimental. The leaders that you want to be, the 21st century leaders, requires people to have a passion for others, be able to resist corruption. The Bible talks about the love of money is the root of all evil. And I would add to that power, when people pursue power. Influence is where you deeply love and respect the people around you, and you are trying to influence rather than have power. And so with power comes much responsibility. So I would say, here in the United States, there needs to be that influence. Karen never should be told what to do. They should be able to make decisions on their own. I believe Karen people are extremely intelligent, very skillful in so many things. Now, in Kaw Ku, it's a little bit of a difference. In Kaw Ku, when you have people that are raping people's wives and hurting people, now you have to exert some kind of power, and that comes with military. Military has to be very careful. When I met recently with DKBA, for example, with General Nerda and some DKBA and some KNLIPC, we talked about that. Power is something that only can be exerted on the enemy, people that are trying to hurt you. Anybody that's Karen should never, ever try to hurt their fellow Karen. Never should they allow the corrupt and brutal Burma regime to cause them to be divided against their own people. And Burma does that. Burma is masterful at creating people that lust for power, because the Burmese generals lust for power. That's who they are. And so we really need to resist that. And influence means building relationships with people and having high trust. What people with power do is they will try to find people to be friends with only because they see that they want something from that person. So they'll try to exploit that person. Try to, like, if the person has a lot of influence, they'll try to use them so that they can ride off of their coattails and things like that. And we cannot command people to follow us. We I hold no official power within Kaw Ku. I have to lead through influence. And I have people that advise me and give me great advice and direction and things and help me learn. And then people that correct me at times and say, hey, I think it's important for you to not do this or that. And we learn from those things. But ultimately, influence comes from a position of love and respect. Power comes from a position of I'm lusting after what others have. I'm jealous of others, and I'm going to destroy them if they don't do what I want to do. And that's tragic, very tragic. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, that's kind of understanding. I understand that, as leader like, General Nader, Bajahe, and including you, of course, you got been an amazing leader, showing the, do the right thing, and it's, helping the, peoples, and you sacrifice, so much for the Kaw Ku people who suffer. There's other Korean people that they see you in negative way, they criticizing you and nothing like that. How do you, overcome the fear? How do you handle all this, the stress,
Sure.
all that? Can you please tell a little about that?
Well, first of all, is for me, I don't care what man thinks of me. I only care what God thinks of me. I don't make decisions so that I can have people like me. I make decisions based on principle and where I feel God leading me and calling me. As far as with Karen people, I do have deep concern of Karen people making sure that they never feel that I'm doing something that would hurt their cause. And that's why I always stay in touch with so many Karen people that give me wisdom and guidance. As far as General Bajahe and General Nerda, those two are amazing men. I love them like brothers. And we have to pray for them, because Burma will do everything they can to try to get them out of the way, because those are the last two that have been really standing. And specifically, General Nerda has really risen up in the last few years. So I would say we have to pray for those guys and be really, let them be wise. Pray for wisdom for them, because the enemy sends people to them to manipulate and to try to control them. And so, I notice about General Nerda, one of the greatest blessings I see in his life is his wife. And his wife nurtures him and encourages him to be there for his Korean people. So my prayer for General Bajahe is that his wife would really understand and be submissive to God and understanding that her role is to encourage Bajahe to stand for his people, not to pull him from his people. So that's a special prayer that I have for him. I have deep respect and admiration for both of these men. General Nerdad, I spend much more time with, and I'm awed every time I go there and see his heart revealed in the things that he does for his people every single day.
Mm-hmm. I mean, these are the great leaders, you know.
Yes.
Current people around the world, they really admire them, you know, everything they do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
As young leaders from the United States, you know, we respect these two leaders, you know.
Sure.
We look up to them, you know. We are hoping that they make, you know, the right things and do the right thing for the people, you know. That's what we are really hoping. Also, I want to ask you, can you please tell us about the, you know, upcoming trip this year, July, from, you know, you got planned to go to the
Sure.
university again, or where's?
So I have been asked by many leaders in Kathule and from here to plan a trip to Washington, D.C. in July, and the focus would be to continue to keep that exposure from Washington, D.C., from President Trump, his administration, to continue to be fed information accurately on what's happening on the ground, especially after the ICC. The ICC really hasn't done much to remedy things. I mean, okay, they get found that they did genocide against the Rohingya, where we all know they've been committing genocide against everybody. It's absurd for the courts to have only looked at the Rohingya situation. But you look at what the court did was to say, okay, Burma, stop doing that. Well, Burma's never going to stop doing that. The Burmese generals will never stop doing that. And so I think why a lot of Karen people really look at President Trump's leadership and seeing how he is not afraid to stand up. And their hope is, and many Christian pastors from Karen people have told me that they believe that he was put in office and partly to stand for the Karen people, which I think is very, very interesting. And there's many stories that would take too long to share that people have shared with me that indicate some really amazing things. So we will keep that at the forefront. We will be planning and communicating that with everybody. And so I look forward to that. These trips are hard. They're costly because we have to pay for the permitting and things like that, but we do that because our people deserve the best of us. They deserve us to be at our best and stand for them. They don't deserve for us to be in collusion with the Burma regime and trying to tell people how the NCA one day is going to find freedom when that's the furthest thing from the truth. What we need is new leaders to lead our Kathule.
That's right.
And 2020, I think, is a year of action, and my hope is that people shake it off and they never let people silence them. As soon as a leader tries to silence people, they should know right then and there that's not the person that has their interest. And so we will just pray. We got to have God first. We can't do it without Him, and we'll navigate through. And again, we'll be letting people know the exact dates and things like that. We're going through logistical planning now, and more to come on that. And then I look more forward to December when we return to Kathule and continue standing with our amazing current people. And I encourage people to keep focusing on freeing Kathule. Freeing Kathule. Kathule will be free, and it's in our hands to do that.
Yeah, well, I thank you for being here. I hope that everything, you know, you've done, and I hope you reach on your goals and everything, you know, go well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for being at your best, especially in the job that now you're in, and that God uses you to be an influencer and to help change the hearts of many in law enforcement that desperately need God to soften their hearts, because that's a very difficult job. That's why there's high divorce rate, high alcoholism, and even suicide in law enforcement. So I know that you're there for a reason, and God's going to use you to mentor people and to be able to show people how current strong you are. So thank you for all you are, bro.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Kevin.
Tablu.
Tablu.
I have one more thing to say.
Yes.
Bakenya Manige Kathule.
Yeah, that's right. Pakenya Maneke Kathule. That's right.